and workforce development initiatives, along with various grant programs. She was appointed as the first commissioner of the apprenticeship programs for the state of Utah in August of 2019. She currently sits on the Workforce and Economic Development Advisory Board for Salt Lake Community College and has previously been a member of various college program advisory boards. Melissa has received a number of awards for work performed in these areas, including the Eagle Award from the National Association of State Workforce Agencies, and most recently, the first Apprenti Champion Government Partner Award. Melissa, welcome today. I'm going to hand all our participants over to you and let you begin. Yep, Melissa, I think you might be on mute.
Thank you. We did right before we started, right? Without me not coming off of mute. I will just start over. Thank you so much for being here and for having me to be able to present to you today. I really want to welcome you all and thank you for celebrating National Apprenticeship Week with us. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you about apprenticeships and the model of what they are, give you a few key facts about apprenticeships nationally and here in Utah, but most importantly, how they can help you in your business. The reason you're all here today is I'm sure you're all feeling the pinch. I don't need to tell you that you're not able to find enough of a qualified workforce for all of your open positions. But you know, when we think about the things that have led us here to this, we have a 2.4 unemployment rate in Utah right now. That means there's about 40,000 Utahns that are unemployed. We have a 3.4% job growth rate over the past 24 months. This means that we'd added a cumulative 53,600 jobs since September 2019. So we are, not only did we go back to where we were prior to the pandemic, but we're growing even more so than we were prior to the pandemic. So, you know, unfortunately, our labor force participation remains a little lower than it was at pre-pandemic levels. But we don't believe that that's going to be our new normal moving forward. We just think that there needs to be some progression in terms of vaccines and seeing how things go. There's just still a little bit of trepidation for those that may have some other underlying conditions that concerns them about being back into the workforce. So we will be happy when they do come back, but that doesn't help us now. The other thing that's compounded this issue is Utah continues to receive a number of accolades. We're recognized for being the best in state for work-life balance, having the best economy, best in state for business, having the best economic outlook, being recognized for having a well-educated workforce, so much so that employers outside the state are now hiring people that live here. Others are moving here, but they're not joining our current workforce for employers here. They're still working for out-of-state employers as well. So all of these things just compound the need for a qualified workforce. And how are we going to find people? Where are we going to find people? How are we going to get them to qualify for our open positions? Well, this means that we can't continue to recruit and hire the way that we always have been. We have to do things differently. We have to think about it differently. We have to find new ways of building our own workforce. This means that we take control of what that is going to be for us. So I am here to show you how apprenticeships can help assist with this. I'm not here to say that apprenticeship is the only solution, the solution for everyone, but it is an important solution that to take into consideration to add to some of the things that you're already doing. So let me see if I can switch the slideshow here. Okay. For the past several years, apprenticeships has been a major topic of discussion. It's been a buzzword across Utah and nationally. So we feel that it's really important to define what an apprenticeship is And this has also been defined in our state statute, so that we're working with a common message and towards the same goal, and we understand what an apprenticeship is. Basically, it's a training system that produces highly skilled workers to help meet the demands of employers while you're competing in a global economy. But it also integrates classroom instruction and on-the-job learning. So we often think about post-secondary education as going to a tech school, going to a community college, enrolling in a university, and then finding a career in the area that you've studied. Well, an apprenticeship is a way where you combine that on-the-job learning with the education while you're learning it. So it is post-secondary education. You're just able to work and receive the classroom instruction at the same time instead of putting one in front of the other. We do have apprenticeable occupations in every industry, and we're looking to expand more of those here in Utah. We obviously have construction. I mean, this is a model that's been around for over 100 years. It's a tried, true, time-tested workforce development model that has benefited the construction industry, benefited employers, benefited employees, related training providers, our local community, which also ultimately benefits the economy. So it's something that we can learn from as we're expanding and looking at other areas or other industries. In Utah, we do have apprenticeships in automotive, diesel manufacturing, IT, and healthcare. And I know that can surprise some because it has been so widely used in construction, but I think this is where we can show that things have changed and will continue to evolve to meet the demands of our local economies. So with apprenticeships, there are some common elements that make a high quality program, which we'll talk about next. But first of all, I want you to see that apprenticeship offers a flexible training model that can be customized and designed to meet your specific needs as an employer or within your industry. So we see here, these are the 5 elements that will make an apprenticeship high quality. Having an apprenticeship program within your company puts you in the driver's seat to help develop your own workforce to the skill level that you need. Apprenticeships can be for youth, they can be for adults. Currently, the average age for an apprentice in Utah is between 25 and 34, but we're really looking to also bring that down a little bit by engaging students earlier on and helping them to make informed decisions of what they might want to do after high school. And we're also working with some pre-apprenticeships and youth apprenticeships that help provide the foundation to go into a full apprenticeship program. We feel like these work-based learning activities that happen in your junior high and high school levels just help better prepare them to make some of these informed decisions. But a pre-apprenticeship can also be used for adults that maybe have not been attached to the labor force for quite some time. They might be changing industries. They may have been out of school for so long that they may need some remediation in something like math. And so this is something that can help them be better prepared for when they enter into a full apprenticeship program. You know, life is about options. And so we want to help people make informed decisions based off of data, what's happening in the area, what types of jobs are growing, what skills are needed to do those jobs, what training is required. But knowing that all of this can be done through an apprenticeship and in partnership with our local technical and community colleges. And then they all often link in degrees or you receive a credit towards a degree. So just kind of to wrap this part up a little bit, it is a paid position. It's on the job learning. You receive classroom instruction. There's ongoing assessments to see are you meeting the skill level that you need to? Are you really meeting the competencies and learning the things that you should, and are you able to apply that knowledge? And then we see wage increases as kind of a stepping stone as your knowledge and competency base increases, and then again that culmination in a nationally recognized certification from the Department of Labor, but it also usually includes some stackable credentials or industry recognized certifications that may be required for those particular jobs, especially in IT and healthcare. And then again, an individual can receive credit towards a degree, or it may even result in a degree. We often get asked, what's the difference between an internship and an apprenticeship? Excuse me. And we also often see this word used interchangeably. And so there's just a few key differences. One is usually the length of time. Internships are designed to be short-term in nature. It is not expected that there's going to be long-term employment after. It's hoped, especially at a college level, that you participate in at an employer and you find out that you like it, the culture meets your needs, you're a good fit for the company, and you hope that it results in employment, but it doesn't always do that. But apprenticeships are employment. The apprentice is employed and with the employer, and it's expected that when the program is completed, that they are now considered a journey level worker or an experienced worker in that trade or that new job that they just learned, and that they would continue to be an employee of that company. The beauty of an apprenticeship is that you gain valuable skills in the classroom, and you get to apply what you're learning while you're learning them. You also have a structured way of learning these things on the job or through your apprenticeship, and there's mentorship that's involved. Sometimes when you're an intern, you may have a mentor, you may not. Sometimes it's directly related to the area that you're studying in. Sometimes it isn't. It's the same type of company, but what you're doing is not necessarily learning the skills for the particular job that you're trying to enter into. Credentials, usually there's some similarities there that you're receiving the credit towards the degree or stackable credentials. But again, probably the biggest difference is having a job versus not having a job. Apprentices usually have a 92% retention rate with a company upon completion of their program. So this isn't to say that internships are not valuable. They are very valuable. They're a good way to find out if you're a good fit for the company. If you're doing career exploration, especially in high school, it's nice to try different career interests before you make a long-term commitment into an apprenticeship program. So I often like to refer to them as this. An internship is a try before you buy model, and an apprenticeship is a train to retain. You're hoping that your investment is going to pay off when you work with these apprentices, and that you're going to keep them. So what is the return on investment or the benefits of an apprenticeship program or starting one within your company? Well, one is a skilled workforce. You're able to recruit and develop a highly skilled workforce that helps you grow your business. Apprentices learn companies' best practices and cultures from the very beginning. And that helps ensure a better fit within your team and within your internal processes. That's something that can't be taught at a community college, technical college, or university level. That's something that needs to be trained, and that you're engaged individually with these employees and your company. You're able to customize your training. This allows you to have flexible training options to ensure that workers are developing the right skills specific to the job that you want within your company, and then you have a homegrown apprentice-trained workforce. And these technicians have been proven to outperform market-recruited technicians. And we're thinking that this is because, one, they're learning how to do it your way. Each company has their own way of doing things, and we can expect some basic training across our technical and community college levels that are going to fit any employer in any industry, but it's not a great value or return on investment for them to have a specific program for each separate individual employer. So again, you're going to get the cross training, but some of that more specific for your company, they're going to get better directly from you. We've seen results in terms of reduced turnover. When you minimize the cost of reduced turnover and liability, you're able to grow your technicians. And that reduces long-term recruitment and training costs because they're sticking with you. By investing in your employees, you're showing that you care about increasing their skill levels, and you care about the trajectory of their career. and you're able to visibly show them a career path or the career path options available within your company. And that's something that also builds company loyalty and, in effect, reduces turnover. We see a lot with the younger generation. They want to know that what they're doing is value added to your company, that is value added to their community. And if they can't see that right away, then sometimes they jump ship. But if they are being mentored and they see the options and the abilities and see a way that they can grow within your company, then they're more willing to stick around. So again, we talked about that retention rate of apprentices continuing their employment after their apprenticeship is 92%. This is also a way that we can diversify our workforce. It's particularly an effective strategy to prepare underrepresented populations for high quality employment opportunities. One of the things that we see, especially in economic downturns, is some of these individuals are working in low skill, low wage jobs. And what did we see with the pandemic? A lot of those positions are the ones that were gone right away. Restaurants shut down, hospitality was shut down, and a lot of these individuals are the first ones out of the economy when downturns happen, but they're also the last ones back in. So this is really an opportunity that we can help provide them with the skills and recruit them and use targeted efforts for these specific populations when we're re-engaging and growing our own workforces. So we have case studies that show companies who have recruited targeted populations like veterans, women, refugees, individuals with disabilities, youth, adults, unemployed, underemployed, career changers, homeless, ex-felons. They're able to diversify their workforce and change that culture within their company when they're doing that. All of these things result in a positive impact to your bottom line. You're able to improve productivity, profitability, and again, that it affects your bottom line. Some of the indirect benefits that we have seen or have reported is increased innovation, improved morale within a company, especially with the mentors. They're able to share their knowledge with junior staff or younger ones, and that builds their confidence and their value. They feel valued to the company because now they're sharing what they've learned over the years with some of these newer employees. They've talked again about lower turnover, less need for supervision, lower error rates, and then having that option to hire the talent with their company's specific knowledge, and this helps develop opportunities to develop future managers. They're able to find some of those gems in the rough that they're able to continue to provide ongoing training for and develop that on the job, ongoing learning culture of what they're going to be doing moving forward. And that really helps your company if they know that there should be continued learning. We never stop learning. This is something that they learn through an apprenticeship, and they learn your value. Overall, the return on investment depends on how much your company puts into an apprenticeship program. However, according to Nicholas Wyman, he's the CEO of the Institute of Workplace Skills and Innovation. He's indicated that employers can earn a 36% return on their investment in apprenticeship training, which is higher than just about any investment a company can earn on its capital, and far higher than the 10% typical among S&P 500 firms. Also, others have shared that for every dollar spent on an apprenticeship program, employers have gained $1.50 in return through increased productivity, reduced waste, and greater frontline innovation. So when you're considering implementing an apprenticeship program within your company, think about the three strategies. Implement apprenticeships as a workforce development and recruitment strategy for current workforce needs, as well as when building out your 5 and 10-year staffing recruitment plans. We know that if you're not thinking of that far forward in the future, then you may already be out of business. Provide apprenticeship opportunities for incumbent workers. to skill up and move up the career ladder? Who are some of those that you have seen on your front line for many years that you know would be a great lead worker or a great supervisor or a great manager if they just had a few additional skills, whether they be technical or leadership skills? Those are things that you can put into a program and help those workers move up the career ladder. And then that opens up some of those entry-level positions for some of these other targeted populations that you may be working with to get them re-engaged in the workforce. And then 3, take a portion of your existing education reimbursement funds and redirect them towards apprenticeship programs for new employees. We know a lot of our companies provide education reimbursement funds for individuals to go back to school to further their education, but sometimes they don't necessarily require that it's directly related to the job. They can choose any field that they want to study. They may or may not need to stay with the company for a minimum of a year afterwards, but there's no guarantee that they're going to stay with that company after that. But with an apprenticeship, you're training them for the skills and the jobs that they're going to do currently. So not changing the way that you completely do business, but just adding that element. Instead of making someone wait a year to access those education reimbursement funds, take just a portion of those for new employees to help cover the cost of the apprenticeship program when they're new to your company. As with any organization, having an apprenticeship program is going to take a cultural shift in the way that we think. Employers that seek to adapt a talent development strategy for the current economy and become more inclusive in their hiring, management practices should approach apprenticeships as a cultural shift across many dimensions. We need to look at it instead of it being a corporate social responsibility endeavor. Diversity and inclusion initiatives and apprenticeship programs are really a talent investment effort with benefits for the business, the apprentice, and your current workforce, those that work for you now. By being a player in talent cultivation, employers now change how they engage with higher education, and they move from a transactional approach to an ongoing collaboration that will help build that pipeline of talent with a combination of company-specific and the general skills that will have long-term benefits. So we go from being a consumer of talent to being a co-producer of talent. When looking at risk versus asset, when you invest in younger adults and in workers that the traditional hiring and recruitment process might otherwise overlook, employers can cultivate their homegrown talent that is molded by your organization's values, creating a culture of lifelong learning, mentorship, and then again developing your future managers. So we talk about this cultural shift that needs to happen with not only the frame of mind of what an apprenticeship is and adding that to your recruitment toolbox, but also in terms of workforce development. We talked a little bit on the previous slide about marginalized or disadvantaged communities and populations. And, we just seen this truly compounded with this last short-term recession we went through. We're just glad it wasn't longer, but we do know that there are still a lot of individuals out there that were impacted by the hospitality, retail, personal services, tourism, that we want to help re-engage them and provide them with the training in changing the career that they had before, changing from just having a job to having a career, but knowing how to do that and building their confidence and showing them that they can be successful within your organization. We know that there are many that have gone back to work, but they're still underemployed. They may not be in a job that's paying them enough to where they can quit one job. They may have two jobs. And this is a way where we can help engage them into a higher paying job and they can support their family moving forward with just one job instead of two. With apprenticeships, equal employment opportunity is the cornerstone, so we encourage you to consider the role of diversity and inclusion in your business and your organization. Excuse me, I need a drink real quick. We encourage you to consider what that looks like for you. We know that there's been a lot of efforts around this area, but we've also heard that it needs to go from an idea to action and something that's being implemented. And this is something that we can do even through apprenticeships when we're engaging with these specific populations. But we want to make sure that our organizations embody these values and practices in creating a more inclusive workplace, and that it's not just lip service, but we're providing the how-to behind it, and we're providing the opportunity and just actually moving our organization forward in that area instead of it just being an idea. So it takes a holistic and multifaceted approach when you're diversifying your pipeline, but even just in recruitment efforts in general, we need a holistic approach. So this is why we ask you to consider having apprenticeships as part of your recruitment efforts. And then also, again, I can't emphasize enough, helping your current workforce to move up within your organization. This takes forging partnerships with our local technical schools, community colleges, and universities to help provide the classroom instruction that's going to be directly related to the jobs that you're offering. Fortunately, we have some great partners with workforce services, some that are on this call in our workforce development specialists, and we have a state apprenticeship program specialist that can also help you as you're looking at developing these types of programs. But I encourage you to also work with your public high schools early on and start investing in the future generation of talent. We know that we have immediate needs, and sometimes that's hard to kind of wrap our heads around. I have so many openings right now, I don't have time to go and do a presentation in a classroom at a high school, or to have an industry tour, or to provide a project-based learning experience. But if we don't do that now, we're still going to be in the same boat 5 years from now of how do we build a pipeline of talent. So really, we need an ecosystem within the organization that provides and promotes that lifelong learning for workers earlier on, but again, building that pipeline that's going to lead to those jobs. When we have a shared vision and we use apprenticeships as the infrastructure for this process, you have repeatable results. So to talk a little bit about apprenticeships and where they have been and where we are now, this graphic depicts where we are nationally. We can see that we've had a 70% growth in apprenticeship programs over the last 10 years. But in the last year, we've had a 25% growth in youth apprenticeships, ages 16 to 24. So this is, as you can see, a valuable strategy that individuals are starting to catch on, and they're going to be looking for more opportunities. I think one of the things that we see a lot of is we get a lot of individuals that say, hey, I want an apprenticeship program. How can I connect? Who hires apprentices? What do they hire them in? And we're going to be looking for more and more employers that are developing new opportunities to help fill and help connect all of these individuals that are wanting to participate. In Utah, in the last 10 years, we've grown by 18%. In the last 2 years, we have developed and implemented 50 new registered apprenticeship programs. And the number of apprentices that are participating has increased by 11%. So to date, just recently, hot off the press, we checked with the Office of Apprenticeship. They've indicated that we now have over 4,400 active apprentices participating in apprenticeship programs right now in the state of Utah. Now, all of this growth, mind you, happened during the pandemic. And so we can see that there is a large need. There are companies that are clamoring for talent. There are individuals that are wanting to get into the workforce, and this just is a really good match or a way to get them there. One of the fun facts that I found when I was doing our annual report is looking to see, who was our first apprenticeship in the state of Utah. And we found that Mountain States Line Constructors was the first apprenticeship program registered in Utah that is still active. So they registered their program on January 31st of 1966, but yet their program is still active. So I think that speaks to the validity of the program and being able to maintain and grow an apprenticeship program here locally. In terms of demographics, in Utah, we have 86.43 individuals that are consider themselves to be white or Caucasian. In registered apprenticeship programs here in Utah, we have 76.3% individuals that are. That's by far the highest, but why we want to diversify our candidate pool. But some of the exciting things is when we look at some of those Utah demographics, like African Americans, we have 1.19% here in Utah in the population, but those participating in apprenticeships is 2.33%. Native Americans, we have 1.9% and 2.74% that are participating in apprenticeships. Our Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, there's 0.89% in our state and 1.91% that are participating in an apprenticeship. The one that we're the lower in is Asians. We have 2.32% in our population in Utah, but 1.3% that are participating in apprenticeship programs. So you'll see the Department of Workforce Services and the Office of Apprenticeship working on some strategies to continue to diversify those that participate in registered apprenticeships. But I thought it was interesting to kind of see, where we are now. And then we'll look at strategies on how we can continue to grow. One of the next things that I'm excited about is that when you're looking to develop an apprenticeship program, you're not going to go it alone. We have an Apprenticeship Utah network here in the state, and this network also serves as the apprenticeship committee for the State Workforce Development Board. This is a group of employers, of education providers, both secondary and post-secondary, other community partners that are looking to grow and expand apprenticeships here in the state. During this past year, we developed the state's first comprehensive apprenticeship website with resources and tools for employers, future apprentices, and educators. We have resources on how to set up a program, how to connect to apprentices once you do have a program set up. And then we also have what we call an employer playbook that includes a mentoring guide on how you work with apprentices once you hire them. So there are a lot of resources and support here for you. We do have a couple other presentations or webinars that you may be interested in this week, since it is National Apprenticeship Week. We have one later today on apprenticeship models in higher education. We have one tomorrow with Alexia Murphy. She's on today. She's our state program specialist for apprenticeship. She's going to be talking about how you hire apprentices after you've developed a program, connecting to veterans, to refugees, to individuals with disabilities, youth, but also more of the technical pieces of how to post some of these opportunities and where you find candidates for those open opportunities. And then on Thursday, we have an apprenticeship job fair where we're going to help connect people, or if you just want to learn more information about employers' programs, you can register to attend and go into the apprenticeship pavilion, and you're able to ask other sponsors, what are they doing? What do they hire for? How long have they had programs? What are some of their best practices? What have been some of their challenges? What recommendations might they make for you? And our Utah network, our apprenticeship network, has also had employers and sponsors offer to talk to other employers that are interested in developing programs so that they can share that knowledge with them as well. We have a true partnership, and I think it's been really great that we are able to share our knowledge and experience with others, and that they're willing to do that, because although we may be competitors for talent, we also know that we all live in this community, and we want to be able to engage and have a successful economic opportunity for all here in the state. So if you have not gone to the website, I encourage you to go in and take a look at that. There are a lot of resources, and there's ways that you can connect to our workforce development specialist, to myself, to Alexia, when you have more questions or you want to explore some things a little bit more.
Melissa?
Yes.
I just put in the chat, but I don't know if people are monitoring, but I will send the job fair flyer to everyone that's attended today.
Great, thank you so much. Oh, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that also on Thursday, we have a webinar for secondary educators, for work-based learning coordinators, CTE coordinators, directors, on what youth apprenticeships are and how they can better prepare youth to enter into the workforce through pre-apprenticeships and youth apprenticeships as well. So really, we're taking ourselves this holistic approach of apprenticeships. It's not something that we just talk about, or that we say, this is something you guys should do. This is something that we embody ourselves in terms of these values and want to continue on that way. So these are some questions that I, challenge you to really think about. If you answer yes to one or any more of these questions, then an apprenticeship might be the right solution for your business. Apprenticeships normalize your recruitment and training process for repeatable results. So these are things that I really challenge you to think about in considering how you might be able to add apprenticeships to your recruitment and workforce development strategies within your organization. And they are truly intended to be a learn by doing equivalent to college or post-secondary education. So they should be and are designed as a quality higher education experience, a type of program that you as an employer want to recruit mid-level professionals from. So in the long run, an apprenticeship program that balances the needs of you as the employer, the apprentice, and existing employees can more reliably benefit from your organization. So with that, I will take some questions if anybody has any, and we can even go into the website a little bit more if people want to see that.
I do have a quick question. So we're trying to find a program that we can utilize to help our manufacturing employees into roles for such as a technician, and different roles from our technicians into our engineering program. Is this something that we would be able to utilize to make those connections?
Yes, there are ways that we can do that. What we do is we look at what we call work processes for any given occupation, a specific occupation. And we've got Pat Miller, our state director here from the Office of Apprenticeship, that is a great resource in being able to help us do that. And what we do is we look at that occupation and see what are the skills that need to be developed as a part of that. And then we look at our related training providers, or even if you have training that you do within your own organization that is industry recognized, and we look at how we can build that out. So we absolutely can take that into consideration. One of the other things that I didn't mention is that apprenticeship programs, you can develop your own as your own individual company and be considered your own sponsor, or we can also connect you to what we call an intermediary. We do have some industry organizations that will serve as what we call the sponsor of record, and you're able to tap into their existing apprenticeship programs so that you, especially for smaller companies that may not have the capacity to build their own, this is a way that they can still connect to one and participate in apprenticeship programs. Paul, I believe you had your hand up next. And you're on mute, Paul. Oh, we're still having trouble hearing you, Paul. Maybe you want to try again? I see you just went off mute. Yeah, we still can't hear you. Possibly use the chat feature, or we'll come back to you in just a minute. Kelly. Oh, that's not what I meant to do.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My question is, I teach electrical at the Weaver Basin Job Corps. And we have, when they get our pre-apprentice certifications, they've trained for 1,000 hours. Do those hours go towards their completing of their apprenticeship through your apprenticeship program, or do they that's just training that they have?
It absolutely can. It usually depends on the employer that they're working with, or the organization that they complete the full apprenticeship program with. But we have many programs that do exactly that they start in their pre-apprenticeship and they start getting some of those experienced hours. So whether it be on the training side or the hands-on learning side, and those absolutely can go towards their full apprenticeship program. So if you have individuals that you're working with and you're connecting them directly to a full program, just talk to that employer, or have the apprentice talk to that employer and see if they're willing to accept those hours, because we have many that do.
All right, thank you.
Tim.
Melissa.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah. We just had a question in the chat that's been waiting for a minute.
Oh, okay.
It's from Eric, and it's, what does it take and how do you register as an employer who offers apprenticeships?
What does it take? Well, the number one thing you need to do is decide what occupation within your company that you want to start with. We suggest that people start small. I think sometimes when we talk apprenticeships, people think they need to develop a huge program and hire 10 people all at the same time, and it can seem overwhelming. And really, you can start with one. And Alexia, our state program specialist, and Pat Miller, our state director with the Federal Office of Apprenticeship, work really well together to help you develop your program. So when you work with them, they're able to help you see what needs to be taught on the job and what would be taught in the classroom, and then work with you on solidifying what that will be and who your educational training provider will be. And then we set up what's called standards, and Pat can speak to this more than I can because this is her area. Ultimately, all programs will be registered with the Department of Labor, which is the process that Pat Miller covers, and Alexia works really closely with her to do that. Pat, do you have anything you want to add on that? You're on mute, Pat.
There we go. If you're thinking about becoming a registered apprenticeship sponsor, which is what we call the companies, because you're sponsoring apprenticeship for your workers, you can send me an email at miller.patsy@dol.gov and set up an appointment. We can do just a brainstorming to see what your thoughts are and what you're thinking about occupation-wise, length of time, whether we do competency-based training, hybrid training, or time-based training. There's a lot of little bits and pieces, and sometimes it's nice to talk to somebody who plays with that puzzle, which I do every day, and so does Alexia. So if you give either one of us a heads up that you're interested, we're more than happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, and we will put both Alexia's contact information and Pat's contact information in the chat for you. Like I say, they work really well together. The one thing that we're trying to do as an organization is help Pat, what we call it, spread the love of the work, because she's one person within the state where we have a team that can actually help her with things. And so if you're not quite sure what you want to do, that's something that Alexia can also help you with, brainstorming. And then by the time you get to Pat, you know what it is that you want to do. And Pat helps put things together and get you all registered and using the system as a whole. But we work really well in supporting each other. Paul, do we want to try this again?
Paul's question is in the chat. And he asks, can you share more insights about the role of nonprofit organizations and government agencies in the apprenticeship world? Is there special funding to support nonprofits who want to do apprenticeships? My experience has been that many low-income individuals and youth learn about apprenticeships from the agencies or organizations they are receiving services from. Thanks.
Great question, Paul, and I'm so glad that you brought that up, because you're right. Especially if you have to decide whether you're going to put food on the table or go to school, you're going to put food on the table for your family. But there are many of these apprenticeship programs, the employers cover the cost of the training. Those that don't, we do have some grants and some funds in the state of Utah that can help offset the cost of the OJT or the mentoring, can help offset the cost of tuition and fees and books, but can also help offset the cost of tools they may need for the trade. So whether it be tools for an automotive or diesel technician, a computer that you may need for a remote job in IT. There's a lot of different things, a stethoscope in healthcare. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we as DWS can help with, but also other organizations. So at Workforce Services, we do have some funding for those that are eligible and appropriate. They are low income type programs. And so if you are eligible and appropriate for WIOA or TANF, that's something that we can help offset the cost with. But we know that organizations like Salt Lake Community College and the tech schools also have funding like Custom Fit and other state funds that they may get through the state legislature to help offset these costs when developing your program and to help with the training support. There are also federal grants, and these can be mostly accessed by individuals that are looking to participate, but we are looking at more opportunities where we're going to be able to help more employers. So we're waiting for some other grants to be released later this year or early next year that we'll be applying for more funding. I know Alexia has been managing a grant, an apprenticeship state expansion grant for the last couple of years. That one ends in June, and unfortunately we're out of money, but it just shows that there are federal funds that are coming, not only from the Department of Labor, but also the Health and Human Services and the Economic Development agencies. They're really looking at a national level of how they even integrate and work together to support apprenticeship funding and training. And we have some grants even with the University of Utah and Utah State University through the Health and Human Services, where they have embedded apprenticeship in a degree program for substance abuse disorder counselors in behavioral health, and then also for certificates for peer support specialists and family support specialists of those that have had substance abuse issues prior. And so there's I bring those up just to show you that there is a wide variety of opportunity out there, and we are constantly looking as a state for ways to apply for additional funding to help offset these costs. Julie, are there other questions in the chat that I haven't seen?
I am not seeing
I have.
Yes.
Some of my students come from other states, and they get, for example, I have one that has an apprenticeship license in Idaho, but he's since moved back to Utah. What does it take to transfer that from an Idaho license to a Utah license to be able to work electrical in Utah?
Some of these things like that is going to be driven by by DOPL. Sorry, I was trying to think of the full name. So our Department of Occupational Licensing is going to be more responsible and kind of drive what we need to do there, but it's something that we can get some information for you on if you would like us to. The one thing that when they're not licensed occupations, the beauty of a registered apprenticeship program, or even when they are licensed, the beauty of a registered apprenticeship program is that when it's approved by the federals, and that training is approved by the federal government, that usually allows them to work across state lines, and it's recognized in the other areas. But I know with those that do require state licensure, like the electricians and the plumbers, we will have to work with DOPL to switch over that license.
All right, thank you.
Carl has some additional information for us. Carl, would you mind speaking up? I'm so glad you're on.
Sure. So the electrical apprenticeship that needs to, work in Utah from Idaho, he would need to find a S200 employer, which is an electrical contractor, for verification and supervision. And then DOPL, of course, has a fee. It's $116 to get the state of Utah apprentice license. Hopefully that helps.
So he just needs to apply for a Utah apprentice license, even though he has an Idaho one, so he can't transfer it over, is what you're saying.
No, there's provisions for the journeyman electrician, but the apprentices need to be working for a Utah-based contractor that's doing work here and willing to supervise him and put him to work.
All right, that's what I thought. I just wanted to see if there was something different that needed to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I'm not the expert in everything, but I know who to connect you to.
Melissa, earlier there was a question on if older workers tend to do apprenticeships, and Pat did say yes, but do you have any insight into what that would look like for an older worker, or what occupations might lend to that a little better?
I think it depends on what you mean by older worker, but an apprenticeship is an apprenticeship is an apprenticeship. So it doesn't necessarily take a specific age to do the job, other than our hazardous occupations. There are a number of hazardous occupations that you have to be 18 in order to work in. But one of the areas that we know that if it is a registered apprenticeship program, you can participate as young as 16 years of age because of that, because there's I want to say exceptions for 5 of the 8 or the 11 hazardous occupations if it's a registered apprenticeship. But it looks like Pat might have some suggestions for older workers.
Yeah, when it talks about older workers, I kind of think 50 and above, simply because I'm in that age group. But a lot of the people in that age group have reached for what I call pay it forward kind of occupations. That's working with nonprofit agencies and the University of Utah, HR kind of things. The guys, I actually presented an apprenticeship completion certificate to an 86-year-old gentleman who was a janitor for the University of Utah. So it can go from, the sky's the limit. If you can physically do the job, there's no reason why you shouldn't put in for whatever you want. And I would be happy to discuss those opportunities as well as Alexia or Melissa, as far as opportunities for grants and monies to help pay for schooling and retraining, with people coming back into the workforce as their children grow up and move away. The average age of the American worker gets more interesting all the time.
Thank you, Pat. And on our website and through jobs.utah.gov, we post open apprenticeship opportunities. Alexia again is going to cover that a little bit more in her presentation on Wednesday. But if you go to, if you're registered there and you list a job, you have the option to select that it is an apprenticeship. And so when someone is looking for an apprenticeship when they go to search for jobs, they can also just search for apprenticeship opportunities, and we can make the connection that way. So, you know, I'm with Pat. I try to encourage anyone to do what they are physically able to do. Any other thoughts, questions? Right.
Nope, thank you for your time.
You are so welcome, and I'm, you know, always happy to entertain more questions offline as well, and I can put my contact information in the chat as well.
And I will include everyone's contact when I send the presentation, but because we do have 30 minutes left of our scheduled time, Melissa, are you good to hang on for a few minutes if people want to ask questions after?
Yeah, absolutely. I figured you had some other business within your group, since this is your normal seminar that you do for your group. So I will hang on, and if you need me, I'm here.
Melissa, we want to say thank you, a great big thank you from all of us to you for being here with us this week and sharing your apprenticeship week with us. I hope everybody has the opportunity to look through all the information that was given. Julie's going to send out a recording of this presentation so that you will also have all the opportunities for the contacts and to, again, hear the information for a second time. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. We sure enjoyed seeing you all, and we hope to see you next year. I just want to repeat, we've got our full year next year ready to go. And Julie will be sending out a flyer shortly to give you all the dates for our registered seminars next year. Thanks, everyone.